Hello there and welcome to this edition of the ADIPEC Energy Dialogues. This is a series of conversations that we are having with leading energy players and experts around the world in the run-up to ADIPEC 2021. I'm Etna Trainer, and today I'm absolutely delighted to welcome with us the CEO from Honeywell Performance Materials and Technologies. Vimal Kapur joins us. Vimal, lovely to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for hosting me, and good afternoon.
Great to have you here, and we've a lot to discuss too in this short time. But I want to start off with sustainability. We look at sustainability in the energy sector at the moment, and it really is the big focus. It's where the big commitment is, and it's where we're really beginning to see action. Talk to us a little bit in terms of why do you think this has happened?
I think a lot of things are coming together over the last few years. We all know that this topic has been on the table for probably 30 years. And I think the couple of things are coming together. First is the public opinion. I think public is far more knowledgeable and demanding, for rightfully so. I mean, I am as a personal capacity, absolutely demanding on the climate change. The public opinion is forming. I think that's followed by political resolve and business resolve to execute on the public demand. And as you can see, many companies have raised their bar to publicly make their net zero commitment. That includes Honeywell. We have committed to be net carbon neutral by 2035, and will likely beat that goal. And the third one is, I would say technologies are becoming far more capable to solve this climate change issue. So wind and solar, we are all well aware, has become much more commercially viable, but that's not the only story. There are many more technologies which are contributing to this. So I think it's everything coming together: the public opinion, the public policy, the business determination, technology. So I think timing seems perfect to execute on it.
Now, when we look at the energy transition, and I mean, it's impacting everybody in the industry without a doubt. You know, what do you think the industry needs to do in terms of response to this? Are they responding the right way, and are they doing it fast enough?
Look, this is probably one of the questions which all the customers of Honeywell are grappling with at this point of time. And the reason is that there are no easy choices. The way I always explain is that it took us about 100 years to carbonize. So if you have to decarbonize potentially in next 25 to 30 years, it has to be done at 4 times the pace. Just a simple math. So I think most customers are going through this evolution of how do we do it, because options are too many. At the headline, we hear the option is all about electrification, but electrification cannot solve all the issues. Electrification is very good, for example, for electric cars, or for heating small homes. But as the things become more complex, electrification probably cannot run fleet trucks, which run, thousands of miles, or it cannot run planes. Electrification probably is not going to be effective to produce steel or cement. So I think our customers are really trying to figure out the optionality they have of different sustainable technologies. And that's where companies like Honeywell come in, because we have extremely high experience on working in very diversified technologies. And I think working with our customer is our key point at this juncture. I had a pleasure to travel after 1.5 years to Europe last week and met with many of our customers in Europe. And I think everybody is very committed. But I think the short answer to your question is everyone is in the formation stage of their strategy, and we'll see acceleration of execution coming up very shortly.
It is indeed. It's a very dynamic time in the industry. There's a lot going on, and a lot of people have to, be very nimble and agile as well to make sure that they move. And I guess too, they're looking at policy. They're looking at all other things that are impacting this, and making sure they take the right decision. That's what's so important. Absolutely,
the public policy has a huge role to play, because the returns on some of these are not very attractive at this point of time. As technology will mature, they will. The public policy is going to help in terms of tax credit or some other support which different governments can provide to get this executed faster.
Now let's have a look at hydrogen. We're hearing a lot about it at the moment, but what do you think the industry needs to really sort of upscale and actually deliver hydrogen at scale?
Yes, probably. I think we all have learned over a period of time, hydrogen is probably a big solution to decarbonization. I think the application scenario of hydrogen are multiple. Hydrogen can be used to heat our homes. It can be used to produce power. It can be used to run trucks and cars with a fuel cell. So the good news is it has solution to multiple issues we are grappling with at this point of time. So the scaling of hydrogen is happening pretty rapidly. There are some data suggests that the growth will be as high as 7 to 8 times in next 30 years, which makes logical sense. I think there are green hydrogen is something which we all want today. But the green hydrogen technologies are not scaled and commercially viable in 2021. Will they be commercially viable and scalable in 10 years from now? Very likely. 15 years, highly likely. So the question is, how do we do it? What's we do in the bridge now? We have a 15-year bridge. We all want to do the right thing, but something has to be done in between. And that's where there are some alternative technologies, which is called blue hydrogen. You essentially produce hydrogen, remove the CO2, and that's a technology which Honeywell UOP provides. You sequestrate it, and you get pretty close to at least 90% more effective CO2 performance, CO2 removal performance compared to current state. It's a substantially better, not where we want to be, but in context of the problem we're trying to solve, I think this bridge technology is going to be pretty effective. And we have been in the space of hydrogen purification for decades. We've done hundreds of plants. Honeywell UOP has been doing CO2 removal again for decades. Millions and millions of tons of CO2 removal has been done. Specifically, when the gas production is done, our technology has been used. So I think the entire bridge technology of blue hydrogen is going to be important. The carbon CO2 sequestration and storage will be an important consideration for that. How is that solved? Require the collective resolve of the industry and the government and the policy. It's doable, but I think that's where this collective resolve is required in this bridge technology.
And of course, the fact that you have that experience in there as Honeywell, also gives great confidence to your customers in terms of how they're going to move this. So they're not doing it alone, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And when we look at energy demand, it's on the increase. I mean, every big institutional report that is out there is looking at an increase in energy demand. So we're really looking at all sorts of fuels. Let's just have a quick look at renewable fuels. Where do you see them evolving in the next few years?
Look, the renewable fuel technology, Honeywell launched it sometime in 2010. And we were probably a little bit ahead of our time. And I would say even in 2015, the demand for renewable fuel, it means we don't use a fossil fuel as a feed, but we use alternative feed like vegetable oil or animal fat and convert it into green diesel or green jet. And now those technologies have really started taking off, I would say about since 2019 timeframe. And essentially, our ability to use these alternative feedstock and producing green renewable fuels, specifically aviation fuel, has become a high priority. There's a policy in place in US, which is coming up, and also in Europe, which is a great enabler for it. So our technology has multiple feedstock options. We are working to improve the feedstock because the limitation in renewables for our customers is the feedstock. It's not that they don't want to do it. They're all committed to do it. There's only so much of feedstock available for alternative feed, which is used. So our responsibility is to provide new set of options, which are more diversified, which are more easily available. So we recently announced a technology partnership with a United Airlines and Alder to look at next type of feedstock, woody mass. So it keeps expanding the option on how our renewable technologies for eco-fining. And that's what we're really working with our customer to provide the options of the feed and the product they really want to produce. But I'm really convinced that renewable fuels adoption will grow very rapidly. And policy is going to help this, tax credit is going to help, and technology is going to get more and more mature to allow multiple type of feedstock so that our customers have more and more options.
Indeed, there is so much going on at the moment. Let's talk a little bit about plastics circularity and really why is this so critical at the moment, in the energy transition, really?
Yeah, look, we talked about renewable, so that's one way for us to change our lives. So renewable fuels can allow or will allow planes to run with the non-fossil fuel. So one problem solved in a big way, hopefully next 25 to 30 years. Now, other side is plastics are integral part of our life. Plastics are used practically in everything we do, from simple packaging of the product to make things like cars. So they are so much integral part of our life. So we have to find a way to recycle the plastic, and the current methods are just mechanical. It means when the waste is collected from our homes or our commercial facilities, the waste is separated between organic and plastic, and then mechanical recycling is done. It's pretty, I would say, a reasonable solution, but not as effective, in which you can bring the plastic back to its original molecule. What if it's like you bring the end product back to its original state and then reuse it? And that's a plastic circularity solution Honeywell provides because of our chemical engineering background. We take the plastic waste and we reprocess it with our technology and bring a pyrolysis oil as a product. And that goes back into the feed of the units again as a raw material, for lack of any other good word, rather than using a fossil fuel. So it's a huge part of the solution. As this will get adopted, it will reduce the need of using fossil fuel to produce plastics. And the multiplier effect would be big because, again, here, the issue is twofold. One is the supply chain to collect the waste and separate the plastics. It means we all have to be responsible. The recycling days, we have to put it in the right place. Recycling has to happen, and it has to become available as a feedstock. And then, of course, technology has to convert that feedstock into a valuable product, which can be reused back by energy companies. So I'm very, very optimistic. It's an important part of the solution of the decarbonization, something which has not been emphasized a lot. But I personally believe that this has a huge potential, and this technology is available today. We are working to put things which will become enabled 10 or 15 years from now, like we talked about green hydrogen. But here is thing we can do now, and it is a substantial part of the solution, which we really need to work and make it happen.
Absolutely. And I think that's very much it. You talked about hydrogen economy too, but we've got to get the hydrogen economy started. And it may have to start with blue, and it will move, I think, in the right direction. But there is that great feeling, I think, that the industry has very much come together and is certainly, heading on the big decarbonization journey. They know they've got to do it faster. And I think it's very encouraging. A lot of people are doing it. But I know one area that, we talk about a lot too, that's helping all of this too, is digitalization. So talk to me a little bit about the digital transformation and really where does it fit, I suppose, in terms of, becoming an enabler for more sustainability in the oil and gas sector?
Look, the oil and gas sector has always been, adoption of digitization for many years. So that's not new. Now let's put this question in context of decarbonization. So one part of the puzzle is that we use alternative fuels and find different technologies which can produce the product we need, but not using the fossil fuel. That's one part of the puzzle. Second part of the puzzle is we all know we can consume less. And if we consume less, then less of these products are required. So from our customer standpoint, the energy companies can consume less energy. It means that digitization really have to enable the solutions by which energy consumption reduces. And that becomes a big part of the solution, because if energy consumption is less, you need less fossil fuels. And that's an area where I think a lot has been done in this area, but I think there's a lot more to do to achieve on improving the energy efficiency of different oil and gas facilities. And we are absolutely working on that. So we don't want to lose the focus of this important lever, because look, the fossil fuels, the fuels we use today, like gasoline or diesel, they are not going away in 2 years or 4 years or 5 years or even 15 years. So that we have to find responsible way of producing them in a most efficient manner. And that's where digitization can, dramatically help to bring in the technologies which we possess today. And we have been working with our customer for several years on how to run assets better, how to produce using lower amount of energy. And, there are many facets of that.
And indeed, I think we have to look at this almost as a two-tier journey in many ways, because the energy transition, it will get us there. But in the meantime, we have to keep the lights on, and indeed the technology companies to, like yourself, so responsible for that, and your partners, in the industry, so dependent on all of the great work that you can do.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, technology will always keep evolving. I think that's a good thing about technology. I mean, in context of digitization, a lot has been said about AI or machine learning. These technologies have been used for 15 or 20 years, but they were not called AI or machine learning. If we use some more technical language around it, we used to call it advanced process control, things of that nature. So technology is always going to raise its bar so that we can solve the problems. You're spot on here. Technology is not static, software is not static, and we're very excited always to keep it, bring it to the next level.
Now, just before I let you go, let's have a look to the future. Let's get the crystal ball out in terms of, what does the industry need to do, and particularly when it comes to technology, how can technology actually help to make sure that sustainability is built in for all of your partners, but for the wider energy industry as well?
Yes, I think from a crystal ball perspective, we have to work on different technologies which are in the pipeline and make them commercially viable. So I talked about renewables and how do we make next generation of feedstock available. So that technology should mature in the next couple of years. We talked about green hydrogen and how that will mature over a period of time. But one area we did not talk about is about energy storage. Very large amount of energy will be produced in future by wind and solar, which is increasing very rapidly. The good news is that wind and solar is abundantly available. The bad news is that when it's available, we don't need it. So point being that the sun is highest, at peak at 12 in the noon, but we need to turn lights on at 7 in the evening. So how do you solve the puzzle that when you need it, you don't have it? And that's where storage is required. So one industry which is dramatically changing is power generation and distribution, because unlike in the past where you put a massive power plant, 500 megawatt or 1000 megawatt, put big power lines and bring power to a substation and bring it to our homes. Now it's going to be a solar farm or a wind farm, but energy from them has to be stored for a certain amount of time so that it could be withdrawn when we need it. And storage may be 2 hours, it may be 4 hours, it may be 12 hours, whatever the case may be. And I think that's a technology, both in case of battery technology and energy storage technology, which is being very actively worked. We are working as Honeywell in both areas. Several work has been done, a lot of work has been done on developing control systems which work with the grid flawlessly so that you can send the power, draw the power, and you need that multiple times. But equally importantly, we are working on new battery technology. The lithium-ion battery, which we all very familiar with, it's used quite extensively, is the only technology source available, but we are working with our material science background with new set of technologies, which can store for longer, they are more safer, and they are more cheaper. So they are going to become an alternative way for us to solve the energy storage problem. And we are looking to demonstrate that technology at commercial scale in 2022, and hopefully have more commercial scale availability in down the year's time. So yeah, there's a lot of technology work which is happening. And that, as I said before, technology will raise itself to the proportion of the problem in front of us. We are not sitting static. And I think we as a company are pretty proud of what we are doing with our customers. And we think we are working with our customers. We're going to collectively solve the sustainability issue in front of us.
Indeed, and it will take a lot of cooperation, a lot of collaboration, strong partnerships, which without a doubt, partnerships that you have built over the years. And I think, people have been able to depend on that technology and really know, I think that everybody is heading in that right direction. Vimal Kapur, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us. It's been so great to have you on the ADIPEC Energy Dialogues. Absolutely.
It's a pleasure talking to you, Etna, and talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
And that was Vimal Kapur, the CEO of Honeywell Performance Materials and Technologies. As always, great to have these conversations going on, the ADIPEC Energy Dialogue, in the run-up to ADIPEC in 2021 in November, and that's not too far away, and we will be there live. So Vimal, I'm hoping we'll see all of the colleagues, of course, from Honeywell, but we will be live at ADIPEC in Abu Dhabi in November. So to everybody watching, make sure you register and make sure you get your plans in place to join us in Abu Dhabi. So from myself, Etna Trainer, and all of the team at the ADIPEC Energy Dialogues, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.